Once again, cloud native in the light. I got a new interest in the stuff I've been talking to my new friend Marius about. I'll introduce him as he's the lead of the Spring Stream project, and he's also he's very proud of writing the book Spring Integration in Action with Mark Fisher. I'll let him introduce a bit more of himself, and we'll have a conversation about what he's working on, Spring, how he got into it, and SpringOne.
Hello, Andrew. Thanks for...
How do you pronounce your last name?
Bogoevici.
Okay.
And
that seems easier than it looks.
Yes. So thanks for having me, and I'm very happy to talk a little bit about myself and actually about SpringOne Platform, and actually very excited that we're heading there.
So how did you get into Spring, and when did you start, and kind of like what's your story with Spring?
Well, it's funny, like I've started as a Java enterprise developer, so classic story of J2EE, kind of taking it to the limit where you actually feel that it's obviously trying to do the work and trying to do everything you can with it, but it felt a little bit clunky and hard to use. And I think around 2003, one friend actually lent me the Rod Johnson's book, and read it, and I found a lot of great ideas, and I kind of followed the framework. I started actually using it a little bit later in the more around 2004, 2005. Kind of a classic Spring Hibernate architecture, and
the wording you used when we had the earlier conversation was you felt let down by EJBs.
Yes, I mean it's not. It's basically the like the J2EE model itself was. It tried to do. It had the right ideas in the sense that it tried to help you basically. It tried to do the work for you, but the way it did it, it wasn't very friendly. Like, for example, the notion that you have transactions managed by the container, for example, was definitely something that helped a developer. The way it was managed in J2EE wasn't very useful. So that's basically where something like Spring, which brought let's say the concepts of Java, like the concepts that J2EE was trying to put in practice, and try to apply them into a more lightweight and developer-friendly fashion that was essentially the appeal of Spring.
So describe for everyone listening, what is Spring Stream?
SpringOne Stream is a message-driven microservice framework. So the idea is that obviously there is the current trend, right? There is microservices are probably a very used word nowadays, and one of the things
used and abused is what I would say.
Sorry?
Used and abused is what I would say.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, definitely see that there. I mean that I won't enter the pro and against camp. There's obviously a use for microservices and the way to use them the wrong way. So it is the reality, however, is that microservices as an architectural pattern help a lot when you go to deployment like environments such as the cloud, when you try to scale, when you try to be more agile. So I think there is an entire discussion around how microservices help you, and I don't want to enter into that.
Absolutely. My point wasn't necessarily whether microservices help you or not. Like, I'm a big believer in the microservices as the dominant kind of cloud native architecture pattern. But what is happening a lot is also there's a lot of people using words they don't necessarily understand, or like marketing messages attached to the
I completely agree with that.
So with that, why don't you talk a little bit more depth? Like, what is this message-driven microservice framework give you? What is like Spring Cloud Stream sort of like value? as a developer, like what am I going to get from using that project?
You're getting basically, so it's easy to write, like even right now, it's easy to write message-driven applications using Spring, right? So there are great integrations, like in Spring AMQP, Spring Kafka, Spring JMS, right? You can do it right now. That's fine. What Spring Cloud Stream provides is a more unified view. It provides a level of abstraction. It provides a number of primitives that we think that are useful when you're trying to design distributed systems that consist, like, they are not only, let's say, consist of one application talking through messages, but actually a number of distinct applications that scale differently and need to be orchestrated. So that kind of uniformity, I think it's the strength of Spring Cloud Stream, that it has a unifying experience when you write microservices that talk over RabbitMQ, that talk over Kafka, for example, and then it's you don't necessarily have to reason about the end system, and also having that kind of uniformity means that you have a contract that you can use as a higher level. So Spring Cloud Stream, for example, is part of a larger ecosystem. It's actually something very
I know the answer, but maybe describe a little bit of that ecosystem for everyone listening.
Exactly, yeah. So it's one of the, so Spring Cloud Stream is one of the 3 projects that came out of Spring XD. It's let's say it takes care of it's the programming model for as I say, for long-running event-driven applications. The other 2 projects are Spring Cloud Tasks. That's a programming model for short-running jobs. And then the above them is basically Spring Cloud Data Flow, which has the orchestration and deployment layer. So where it helps is basically you write your applications using the primitives of Spring Cloud Stream. You kind of reason at that level, and then you can describe large topologies of such applications in Spring Cloud Data Flow, and then you can rely on Data Flow deploying them on different types of platforms, like locally or on Cloud Foundry, for example. Like, you don't need to go and manage each of these applications individually. You just let the orchestration layer do that for you.
So one of the things I said at the beginning of this one is that it would be hard to keep it short. There's a lot of things that I think are really fascinating about this topic that I'd love to explore maybe in a longer format. So then, just to kind of like bring a fine point to it, what are people going to see you present at Spring Cloud Platform or SpringOne Platform?
So at Spring Cloud Platform, I'm going to actually talk about Stream itself, Spring Cloud Stream, about this primitive. So we're going to see actually how it works. Actually, I'm not a very big believer in slides and everything else. So we're going to actually, I plan to write a bunch of applications and then show them how they talk together, how they interact with each other, and how data flow actually makes that process easier.
So you're gonna live code this message-driven microservices architecture.
Oh yeah, there's no alternative to live code. Like it's fun. I mean, that's the whole point. It's very. I mean, obviously, when you try, they're going to be demo applications. So if you try to build something more complex, it's going to take you more time than you have in the 30 minutes. But the core idea is that the complexity, you should focus on the complexity of your, like if your business process is complex, then that's fine. You're going to write a complex application and it's going to take time. How complex a microservice can be, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get into that. But getting started and basically connecting to all the other parts of the framework, that should be easy and that should go fast.
We're trying to remove all the undifferentiated work that the developers have to do.
Yes, exactly. So then, there is good signal for the noise, so to speak.
I had a great time talking with you. I actually learned a little bit about our product and projects, listening to some of the stuff. I knew was there, and I've seen demos, and the rest of it I haven't had my hands on it. But having you articulate it made some of it a little more clear. Is there any kind of last words of wisdom or things that you want to tell people about what you're going to do at SpringOne or anything to do with the project?
I'd like to encourage, I like to encourage well, first and foremost, get your tickets. The second is, I really encourage everyone to participate. I think that's one of the great things about conferences is that it's easy. You can do live coding even in a webinar or anything like that, but interacting and participating, like the Unconference, for example, that's a fantastic place to take part in, right? So I would really encourage everyone to get as involved as possible and to communicate as much as possible. Absolutely,
and that's been a recurring theme with all this is like how much conferences can change your life, and how the message, kind of going back to this earlier thing, is if you're an enterprise Java developer that feels let down by J2EE, there's a better way.